He'll be on in a few minutes. Great. Welcome. Welcome to Medical Mondays with Dr. O. We're so blessed today in Maryland because they called for a tornado, winds, 80 miles an hour. And I think Frederick got a little bit of it this morning, but it missed us somehow. It got downgraded during the time that it was supposed to occur. So we praise God for that. So again, welcome to Medical Mondays with Dr. O, where we know that strong health gives us strong future. I am Dr. Tonyo Kwesami. I'm the health officer for Prince George's County, a board-certified family practitioner who also treats HIV and substance use disorder. In my very, not too distant past life. So tonight, we remaining consistent with this month. In the US, March is Colorectal Cancer Awareness Month. And so last week, we brought a survivor to Medical Mondays with Dr. O platform. And tonight, we're continuing with Dr. Baruch, who is a naturopath who will give us his perspective from the naturopathic lens. I've known Dr. Baruch for a while. He's a naturopathic educator, not just a naturopath. He's a visionary, an entrepreneur, community leader, health advocate, and the founder of Everlasting Life Restaurant, eLife, a staple in the Washington, D.C. metropolitan area, plant-based culinary. It's a plant-based culinary scene since 1995. He's a staunch advocate for the food as medicine. You've heard that before? We dig on that in Prince George's County.
Oh, yeah.
So I'll repeat, he's a staunch advocate for the food as medicine philosophy, focusing on providing delicious, culturally resonant plant-based cuisine that challenges the notion that healthy eating must be restrictive or bland. Beyond the kitchen is a respected educator and healer who has dedicated over 30 years to teaching holistic health practices. His work emphasizes the connection between nutritional discipline, spiritual clarity, and community empowerment. And I cannot wait to hear what he has for us on colorectal cancer prevention through lifestyle changes, the habit, the way we eat. Without much ado, Dr. Baruch, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Thank you. And thank you to all who would take time out and indulge me this evening as I do something that I love to do, and that is share what I know and do what I can to make a difference in the lives of others. However, tonight I feel a bit humbled in that I feel like I'm sitting at the feet of the kings and queens, those who authored the origins of medicine and nutrition and life and so much of what it is that has been interpreted and translated and made into something different and possibly lost its original context and original value to our people. I sit at the feet of many people who have an accent that sounds like you come from the continent of Africa, a place that I call the motherland, the Fertile Crescent, the place where I've been to and I look forward to going back to. So today I find myself humbled in that I'm presenting to you information that I pray you find acceptable, and that you will be able to use this information in what it is that you do, whether it is your life or your practice. As a naturopath, of course, my life is quite different than that of a medical doctor. I tend to see a client base of people who are considerably more radical than your typical insurance card carrying, go to your medical doctor every 6 months to get checked up kind of client. I see people who don't typically go to medical doctors at all. I see people who don't have faith and trust in the system in the United States of America. And I could go down that road. I can understand why that many of them are challenged in that space. But I also know that there's a wealth of knowledge and benefit from having that team of people in your corner to support you on the road to being healthy. So, yes, I've been in the plant-based, I call it plant strong soul food restaurant business for the last 31 years. And the reason why I did is in Prince George's County back in the mid 90s, there was a wave of crime and violence and crack cocaine and just everything that could go wrong and was bad was here, and it was prevalent and it was more popular. We were one of the capitals as it relates to the murder capital of the world. And I decided that I would commit myself to what I thought was the most critical issue facing us in our community. And it was none of those. It was the fact that we weren't healthy. We were gaining weight. We were becoming more sickly. We were finding ourselves more dependent on pharmaceutical drugs, which I say respectfully tend not to cure illness, but rather treat and maintain the illness inside of us. And I think about you when I first visited the continent of Africa in Sierra Leone in 1993. I was then a guest of Chairman Matabio, who's now the president. I don't know about his affairs today. I know back then he seemingly had a good idea, and I was there to assist him with that. I remember seeing the people, and I remember seeing very strong and vibrant and healthy people, very thin and very capable and looking healthy. I rarely saw someone who didn't look like they were healthy while I was there, and I was there for a couple of weeks. And it was amazing just to see that many human beings that were sculpted and were perfect. And that was during a time it was very hot when I was there, and there were people who didn't walk who walked around without shirts on, men and women, and bodies were perfect, and it was amazing. And then when I see our brothers and sisters, when we come here to America, we tend to begin to expand, and we tend to consume. Again, I know you all are familiar, but I won't harp on it. But we consume Nebuchadnezzar's food. We consume the king's diet, and we find ourselves suffering as a result of it. In that, where we rank in the United States of America, well, as it relates to all the developed countries, the United States of America has the worst health of all the developed countries. And inside of America, those who have the worst health are the African Americans in the United States of America. So I see a lot of it, and I see and understand the dynamics of what it is that has contributed to the problem. You all are there, and you are doing work in many of the cities in the metropolitan areas of of America, and probably throughout the world. And you get a chance to see how diet impacts people's health: high blood pressure, heart disease, diabetes, cancer, Alzheimer's, dementia, the list goes on. You know that if a person tends to eat a healthier diet, they tend to live longer. They have a better quality of life. They have more energy. They look better. They're more vibrant. And so what has happened in America and what we see happen during the colonization of the continent of Africa is we took on the food of our colonizer. So here in America, we've taken on the food, the diet of our colonizer, as it is. It is not; these aren't our traditional meals that we're consuming, and then we get a high concentration of fast food, if you want to call it food, places that proliferate our community more so than other communities. And it's not just because we like them more than other people do, but it's almost like it's a targeted attack on the community. When you can go to a couple of blocks and you might encounter 10 to 20 different fast food restaurants that offer no nutritional benefit. There's zero calories, empty calories rather. They offer no nutritional benefit for our community, yet and still this is what is marketed to us. This is what we're consuming. And as a result of it, we get the health outcomes. Colorectal cancer is one of those outcomes. And we know that the statistics were much worse maybe 30 years ago when there wasn't the screenings that were taking place. But I'd have to again come to you and say, was colorectal cancer an issue for those of us there on the continent of Africa? And if I were to take a stab at it, I would say probably not if you were eating the traditional food of your culture and your people. So again, it ties back into what it is that we're eating. And we need to really impress upon our community the need to not put ourselves into the gravy train of the pharmaceutical and medical industrial complexes by consuming the standard American diet. And there's yet one worse than the standard American diet. I call it the standard Black American diet, which means more grease, more sugar, more salt, more artificial, and more ingredients that you do not know how to pronounce and do not recognize and have no idea what it is. So these things contribute to the decline in the health of our community. Everything that you eat in your mouth, through your mouth, if it doesn't come out the pores of your body, it comes out your behind. And all of that is not all of it is as biodegradable as you might want to imagine or expect, in that it comes out and it's harmful, it's toxic to the body. So it causes us to have inflammatory conditions like irritable bowel syndrome and Crohn's, and the list goes on of illnesses that we have inside of our colon, and of course colorectal cancer as well. The it starts up in the stomach. That the number one selling over-the-counter drug sold across the world is our digestive aids. They're digestive aids, and the reason why we need digestive aids to consume what we're getting and consuming in the way of food is because it's not food. So we now have to give the body the extra support that it needs in order to process it and deal with it as best we can. Also, another big deal with regard to us is when we tend to go into a see our medical doctors, or when we have an issue with regard to our health, or when we are in for a procedure, we're many times prescribed drugs, and those drugs tend to have, or they wreak havoc on our GI tract. They wreak havoc on our stomach. They damage the enzymatic balance. They damage the hydrochloric acid in our stomach. They damage us so that if the hydrochloric acid and the enzymatic activity is not sufficient, then you will find people having problems breaking down the food. So if they don't break down the food in the stomach and it gets passed through the pyloric valve into the small intestines, so of course passing the digestive organs, the liver and the gallbladder and the pancreas and so on, that when it passes these organs or goes through to be processed by these organs, it's expecting digested food, decomposed food, so that it can extract the nutrient out of it, pass on the waste, and keep it moving. But what we pass on to our digestive organs is not food, or it's not food or nourishment for the body many times. It's sometimes it's chemicals. Sometimes it's just something that's totally and completely foreign to our bodies. And so we're consuming these things and we're repeatedly doing it. Now put on top of all of that, the amount of sugar that we consume is just god awful. And sugar is, as we know, it's a metabolic insult and assault on the body. So we're assaulting the body with what it is that we're consuming, and it is translating in the body becoming inflamed and also stagnant. And we know when we get inflammation and stagnation, we tend to get the body trying to protect itself, and it creates it creates pockets. It creates tumors. It creates a way to protect itself because it's trying to protect itself. And the best way for it to protect itself, if it's something that's foreign or something that's out of its control or it cannot process it, is it wraps it up. So in modern medicine, we're taught that, well, where there's a tumor, that's a problem. Well, as a naturopath, it's very rare that we use the word autoimmune. It's very rare that we consider the body making the wrong decision. The body's making the right decision based on what is being presented. And what we're presenting to it is a toxin across the board. So the understanding the role that the colon plays in the whole digestive process and nourishment process and the immune system process. When we take antibiotics, and we're very quick to take an antibiotic for anything that has gone wrong. And I remember when I was I guess I was pretty young in the naturopathic space, and I was diagnosed with walking pneumonia, and I went to a doctor who had he was um, he was leaning in the direction of naturopathy, although he's a medical doctor. And I said, "What would you do if this were you?" He said, "I would go home and go to sleep and rest for a couple of weeks." And I said, "Well, what would you do if somebody didn't ask you that question?" He said, "I would give you antibiotics." And I said, "Okay, great. I'm going to go home and go to sleep. And I'm going to rest for a couple of weeks." And in a couple of weeks, in less time than that, I was much better. And we underestimate the power and the effect and capacity of the immune system inside of the body. In fact, we suppress it. In Africa or wherever you're from, if you remember 50, 60, even 30, 40 years ago, grandma would give us things to help strengthen the immune system and boost us as opposed to suppressing us. Robitussin and NyQuil and Dayquil and all these other chemicals that we're taking, those are immune suppressants. They shut down the immune response. And you all know that when you get a fever, that's not the illness. That's the immune system's response to a circumstance that needs to be dealt with. When you're coughing and sneezing and whatever else your body might be doing that is the work of the immune system, it is not the illness. But modern medicine would have us believe that if you're coughing and sneezing and your nose is running and you've got a fever, then those are the sicknesses. So those are the things that get treated as opposed to the actual source of the problem or the source of why you're coughing and sneezing and having a fever. As opposed to addressing that, we address the symptoms, and we know that's the wrong way to deal with this. And you, again, with your wisdom and your knowledge, that's not how grandma dealt with it. Grandma would strengthen the immune system. They would help support the fever, as opposed to trying to suppress the fever. Let's help the fever kill the virus so we can get the body back, in homeostasis. But so we have a wrong. I believe in the United States of America, we have the wrong model. We have the wrong agenda. I think we all know that much of what we're taught today, the foundation of it all, if you don't know, you can check it, is due to the work of a guy by the name of J.D. Rockefeller. And J.D. Rockefeller was the one who began the campaign many, many moons ago to make naturopathy and chiropractic and others and herbology and reflexology, they made it all snake oil. And we were all evil people, and we couldn't practice in the United States of America for a long period of time. It was illegal. And what was made legal is the pharmaceutical and the medical practices that fed into a system that kept those that had power and money having more power and money. And we know that the pharmaceutical industry relies heavily on the oil industry, and we know J.D. Rockefeller was a big salesperson or salesman in the oil industry. So many of the solutions that we come to here in America and in modern medicine, they're not actually solutions. And I use the example: if you have diabetes or if you have colorectal cancer, if you have any illness, it's not a deficiency of a drug that caused you to get the illness. But modern medicine solution is many times the application of a drug or prescription of a drug. So we give us a metformin for diabetes, but I don't take metformin and I don't have diabetes. And again, we're in a cycle where we believe that the way to resolve these problems, the body doesn't know what it's doing. The body has made a mistake, or has encountered something that is beyond its capability, and we now need chemicals in order to help it deal with it. And in the space of colorectal cancer, which is one of the leading causes of death, and has, although it's tapered in the more recent years, again due to screening, it still is a major issue. And I don't think we take into consideration the impact of food and how food impacts that process. But it's not just food, it's actually, again, the breaking down of the systems within the body. We don't, as a community of people, it's so rare that I run into a client who says they have a bowel movement once or twice a day. In fact, it's more common that they might have one once or twice a week. So we have that putrefied waste sitting in our colon tract of a element that is not food in the first place, that is sitting inside of our body, that our body doesn't recognize, can't figure out what to do with it. And it's only right that the body protect itself. You know, from the mouth to the anus is a one complete tube. It's actually, when you think about it, it's actually outside the body. It's outside of the body. And the way that we support our colorectal health is going to be for that we keep everything moving. So when you find yourself constipated, you know, many people think, okay, well, I need to go get, you know, something that's going to get me moving. So I go get some smooth move, or I go get some again, stool softener or some chemical that will help get my body moving, when we're not being taught that if you just take magnesium, you'll help the body retain and hydrate the GI tract so that our waste will move smoothly and consistently. And we should put pressure on ourselves to make sure that we're having at least one bowel movement a day, if not two. We're eating too much in the United States of America. You know, this is a culture where we're eating up to 3 times a day with snacks in between. Therefore, our stomach and our GI tract is working all day, every day. And guess what we don't do? That I know when I was there on the continent, there were people that took a day to fast. They would allow their bodies to rest. They don't allow the bodies to rest in America. So at no point in time is your body not digesting food from the early age in life. You might be, you know, literally talking about since you've come out of the womb. You've never given your GI tract, you've never given your stomach, you've never given your digestive system an opportunity to rest. So it's constantly going. And when your digestive system is going, it will cause other non-life essential systems to be compromised because of the amount of blood that is required in order to process and break down food. So it's we find ourselves in a fix. My suggestion is, you know, to my client base is always, you know, let's eat from the earth. Let's eat more plant-based, more whole food, so that we can get our bodies back into a proper process. Let's reduce, if not eliminate completely, the sugary beverages, especially. And when I say sugary, I don't mean that have sugar in them. I mean that taste sweet to the tongue, because that helps people so that they don't all of a sudden start binging on orange juice. Well, no, that's not going to help you, or apple juice, or whatever kind of juice. When it says no sugar added, no, it's still sugar. The pancreas still has to produce insulin in order for it to deal with the sugar that you're bringing in, getting that sugar into the blood. I suggest that they, of course, get in some form or degree of exercise. We don't exercise in America. You know, we live on a block where the mailbox is at the corner. We get in our car and we drive down to the mailbox. We don't walk down to the mailbox, and we don't walk to the corner store anymore. We don't do the kind of routine exercises that we used to do that used to cause our body and our lymphatic system to function and get rid of waste and move the waste throughout the body into the colon tract. We don't do those things anymore. So our body becomes stagnant, and that stagnation lends itself again to the body malfunctioning. And inside the GI tract, it causes us to have not only colorectal cancer, but so many other things that precede that, and we need to be more mindful of it. It's not a it's I'm not I can't say that I don't like the idea of somebody putting a camera in my behind and looking at what's up there. I can say I like a whole lot better the idea of eating a really, really healthy diet. So I might not have to do that. Or maybe if I did it, I don't have to do it as much. I can't imagine that's pleasant for either the one doing the looking or the one being looked at. And it's I believe that there's another path for us to take. I believe that we have to look into our history and recognize that the diet that we're consuming today is not the diet that we were given, is not the diet that we're supposed that our body expects us to consume. I think we need to change our diet. We need to change um how much we consume in the way of food. We consume too much, way too much food. We eat more when we get richer and when we have more resources. We have more money. We eat more because that's part of the benefit. That's the reward of having more resources, more money. I've risen to a level where I can eat whatever I want to eat, however much I want to eat of it, and your body doesn't respond that way. It's not looking for a rich man's diet. It would probably prefer more so a peasant's diet, somebody that's working out in the field. Their diet would be better for your body. So we need to look at what it is that we eat. We need to look at how regularly we're having bowel movements. We need to look at um, if we find ourselves being severely constipated. Sure, we need to have somebody take a look and give us some help, give us some support. But one of the first go-tos for me is magnesium. And I find that the sufficient levels of magnesium will cause a person's stool and their bowels to begin to move. It is the inflammation from the small intestines to the large intestines, the inflammation, the bloating that people are experiencing is an indication that we're eating the wrong things. It's it's work that we can do. We can make a big difference in the health and well-being of ourselves, as opposed to being dependent upon a system that makes money off of people who are sick. So I pray that yes, food rich with magnesium indeed, and I think also you all would know better than I that and when I was there in Sierra Leone in '93, I had a different understanding about vitamin D uptake and intake from the sun. And it made me look at it and I was like, wow, I'm here with long sleeves on and long pants and something covered my head because the sun was kind of high and strong. And I'm blocking the benefit of the sun. Meanwhile, I'm looking at other people and everybody's got their shirts off and they got a little something small on their waist and they had no shoes on their feet. They might have some flip-flops or something. So the sun is hitting almost every spot on their body and they're getting those high levels of vitamin D. And we don't get vitamin D in America. We're up here in this climate where, you heard Dr. O saying earlier, it's snowing just a couple of days ago. And of course, we walk around with coats and hats and gloves on, and we don't get the benefit of the sun as you all do more in the uh, um, towards the equator. So all of those dynamics contribute to the poorer health that we see taking place and resulting from this lifestyle. I I definitely I mentioned about the fast food joints. I have another name that I give the fast food restaurants, and it helps people so that they look at it differently. And I call I'll just go through the list: Crackdonald's, Murder King, Taco Hell, Wind Disease, Chokers, Bow Strangles, the International House of Pulmonary Heart Disease, Slop Eyes, and Sick Filet. I think it's White Casket, and there's a couple others that I got in there, squeezed in there too. But it's when you think about them that way, you don't want to take your child to White Casket and go get a burger that's going to cause them to be sick. But that's how we have to retrain our mind. Neuro-linguistic programming. We have to reprogram the mind, because what's really food is what's coming out the field. And what's coming out of the grocery stores are not food. When I was a child, the grocery store might have been the size of a modern day 7-Eleven. That's how big the grocery store was. And everything else came out my grandmother's backyard. Now, everything comes out the grocery store. And we're eating all of this processed food, and it's not recognizable. So I don't want to beat a dead horse. I feel like, again, I'm talking to those who know far more than I do, and I'm very thankful and honored to be allowed to speak to you. And I would only pray that the words that I've spoken are acceptable and that you find them genuine, and that it's my heart is that I do everything I can. I opened this business up. I left corporate America where I was making $250,000 in 1995. I made $250,000 a year as a systems analyst. And I said, it does me no good to live the way I live and support my children the way I do. If everybody around me is dying and suffering, that's not good. So I left my job and I opened up this restaurant, and I've been doing it for 31 years, and I can see the difference. I've seen every single illness probably that anybody can think about seeing, and they come to me. I wish they came to me earlier, but they tend to go through the traditional processes first. And when that fails them, or it doesn't work like they'd like it to, or they hear about some other things they could be doing, they come to me. So again, I'm thankful. Thank you, Dr. O. And if there's any questions or comments, I welcome them.
Wow. Thank you. I'll tell you right off bat. Somebody was asking that you should, please write those names, the names of the restaurants.
Yes.
I have questions and I have comments, but before I do, I yield to anyone who raise their hands first. And you can put your questions in the chat box or raise your hand. Dr. Guleye, kindly unmute and ask your question.
Hello, Doc.
Hello.
You came with one of my most favorite topic. You saw my comments in the comment section. I was like, that will be me. I love naturopathic medicine.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
when you were talking about the medications that destroy the lining of the intestines, I put ibuprofen with a lot of exclamation marks because
Yes.
that medication did me dirty.
Yes.
I was in the military. I got in at a rather older age than most recruits. I was 31 when I got in. Most of them were 17, 18. And there I was trying to prove that, I could do this. Those snotty nosed kids were calling me grandma. Come on, grandma, 31? So I decided to show them. I worked my butt off, did all the push ups and the running, got to the front of the line to become their flag bearer because I was running faster than everybody. Of
Mm.
course, my body broke down. And every time I went to the sick bay, guess what they gave me?
Ibuprofen.
Exactly. I was
Yeah.
popping them mothers like I was popping candy.
Yeah.
And a few years later, my intestinal linings were giving me problems. And when I went to the hospital, to the military doctor, they gave me more of what?
Ibuprofen.
Ibuprofen.
Mhm.
So it's just that you don't get wiser until you're older. Why is that? That's unfair. Because by then you've spent most of your life making all the silly mistakes, and you think, okay, what is there left to salvage? But
Well, I think there's something that should be said about that, and that is that in America we're not taught health and wellness.
no,
And I would think that was a part, or if it wasn't, it should be a part of our culture, because my grandmother was Native American, and she taught me how to maintain health. She taught me how not to go to the medical doctor. We didn't have in our medicine cabinet, which is in the bathroom, we had stuff that you brushed your teeth with and that you put in your hair and stuff like. We didn't have any chemicals in our. When we got sick, we got garlic and onions, and I would ask you all, because you're the source. we cut an onion in half, and we put onions around our neck and put onions under our feet to for the sulfur to draw out the poisons in our body. We put the acid fitted bag around our neck, a real stinky thing. I don't know what was in it, but it was a lot of stuff. And we of course did castor oil and Karo syrup, and the list goes on of things that we did to be healthy. But you all, I'm sure you all have the list. You all know
Sure.
what to do. But
We do.
I probably cut into you. But please continue.
No,
Forgive me.
you are absolutely correct. And especially about what you said, that the more wealthier we get, the less healthy we get. We start, because we could afford anything, we start eating any and everything. All of those things you mentioned, I learned growing up. I threw
Yes,
them all out because, oh, guess what? Now I can afford all this. I can do that. I can do that. And I was doing all the wrong things until my health started tanking. And then I
yes,
started remembering all those things that I learned from my mother and my grandmother, and I started doing that. But also, the miseducation is part of our problem too. They
yes.
told us that a lot of the foods we grew up with were not healthy,
That's right.
that we should buy them.
That's right.
Theirs. They told us that all of the health remedies that our grandmothers taught us that they got from their ancestors, they
Yeah,
told us it was demonic. And we
that's
ran
right.
away from them and started taking pills and tablets and whatnot. And now, full circle, and back right back to where I began from my
Yes,
grandmother's remedies. Hey, even the toothpaste you were talking about, I mix
yes.
my own.
That's right.
I mix my own powder, dental powder that I use every day. And I
Yeah.
drink herbal teas. I plant my own herbs and drink herbal teas pretty much every day. And another mistake, when people get wiser, wealthier,
Wealthier.
they, they think, oh, now I can afford to take a glass of wine every evening with my dinner. Big mistake.
Big mistake. Yeah, big
Wow.
mistake.
Thank you so much for further
Thank you.
enlightening us and reminding us of who we were and who we're supposed to be.
That's right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. How's your GI tract these days?
Oh, it's much better now, but I just make sure that I stick to good diets. There's a food item in my culture called gari. A
Yeah.
lot of people stop taking it. They don't even you can cook it in the form of eba or you can drink it. Here's the thing. When you cook it and eat it with your vegetable stew or whatever, it has a high percentage of fiber. You will
Yes.
go, right?
Yeah.
And here's a miracle of that thing. If you are constipated, do not cook it. Put it in water, don't add any sweetener, and just eat it. I mean,
Gary.
no,
Okay.
not if you have diarrhea, sorry. If you have diarrhea, put it in water, do not add any sweetener and eat it. It stops the
Mhm.
diarrhea.
Yeah. So I wanted to just mention some things about that. So what my grandmother did, is she would use rice water for diarrhea. And what I do as a naturopath, when somebody tells me that their lining of their GI tract is damaged or their stomach wall is damaged, the membrane is penetrated, or has a tear, we restore the stomach lining with sodium butyrate. We help coat the stomach again by taking slippery elm in the powder form and putting inside of cool water and drinking it just before it becomes gelatinous, so it can begin to coat the stomach before we eat our food 30 minutes later. And that helps. And of course, also building up your prebiotics and your probiotics and your digestive enzymes to help break down the food. And in America, of course, we had we're taking these over the counter antacids, when in fact what we're short on is acid. So we're taking the antacid, reducing our acidity inside of our stomach, which needs to be hot and acidic to break down our food. We're reducing the acidity when we should be maintaining the acidity so it can break down our food. But the indigestion would lead you to believe that your stomach is too. Anyway, I know you know already, but there's some things that we can do. And like again, I would love to sit at you all's feet and learn from you, because I want to know about Gari and all the other stuff that your grandmother told you, because that's the stuff that I lean towards, and that's what I give my client base.
You know the natural coating that we have in our diet, and I'm sure a
Mm,
lot of people here know it. We call them draw soup, right?
gross.
Um, Okra is one of
Oh
them.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we have something called ogbono. It's one of them. I don't know its Oyibo name, its English name, ogbono. We have ewedu and so many other things like that that we eat with our food that helps, the food move smoothly through the
Mm.
digestive tract without any friction. And
Wow.
for probiotics, we have ogi.
Oh
Ogi, you
yeah.
can make it, yeah. It's fermented grains. You ferment the grains. You can make it with corn, with millets, or any other grain. But we usually use corn though. But I do mix grains. You soak it for 3 days,
Yeah.
right? It will ferment. But I
Mm-hmm.
discovered that in the winter here, 3 days is not enough. I soak it for up to a week before I get
Okay.
the right degree of fermentation. Then you rinse it off and then you add whatever spices you want. Some people don't add spices. I love to add spices, cloves and whatnot, and then grind it. And then back home, they used to sieve it. I thought there was something wrong with the sieving to begin with. Maybe because the grinders we used back then were not fine enough. But my blender here grinds it so smooth. I don't need
Yeah.
to sieve it because when you sieve it, you're removing also the fiber in it. So
Yes.
that's over processing. And
Yep.
it ever since I started taking it more regularly, I had no need for probiotics. None
Mm.
whatsoever.
Okay. Great. 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 Great.
Fantastic. Ewedu is jute leaves,
Yeah.
and gari is cassava.
Oh.
It's made out of
So
cassava. Um, I don't know what ogbono is in English. I don't. If somebody knows, please let us know. Dr. Dija, I'm going to call on you after Dr. Buka. Dr. Buka had put in the chat box that she wanted to comment. Dr. Buka, kindly unmute. And thank you for serving, Dr. Guleye. We appreciate you. Thank you
You're
for
welcome,
serving.
ma'am.
Mm. Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, it's freezing. Yeah. This is thanks very much for the information, sir. I enjoyed it. But what I was going to say, there's something that I use that keeps my bowel going. You know, tambourine. If you boil
yes.
tambourine into a little syrup, you don't need much of, or you can boil it. It's very sour, so you gotta add something to make it palatable. And you can drink it warm or you can drink it cold. I think when it's warm, it keeps your bowels going. That's my and I remember my daughter saying to me, "Why are you upstairs on one bathroom and grandma is on the other?" Because we took the tambourine.
Tamarind.
It, yes. So you just boil some tamarind water. Why, if you want to add a teaspoon of sugar, it works. And your
Yes.
bowel movement is always soft. Mhm. The tamarind seeds, the sour one, not the
Yeah.
sweet one. Mhm.
Yes. Yes. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So where's
So,
the
and
book?
I
Who's
think
who's keeping the
magnesium
book?
relaxes.
Who's keeping the book of all of this information so that we here in the
Mm.
West who have forgotten or never learned all of this can have this wonderful information? Because I'm sure it's volumes. I'm glad we're recording this. Hopefully I can listen to it.
It's on
This is
YouTube,
amazing.
Facebook. Yes.
There are other
And
things,
Yes.
but that's the one that sends me to the bathroom. In fact, I stopped using it for the week and my stool is soft, is
Yeah.
more formed. But when you have
Yeah.
it, I mean, it's just what it keeps you
Oh,
running.
that's great. That's great.
Mhm.
That's great.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, thanks.
thank you
Thank you.
so much. Thanks, Dr. Buka. You're always giving us this caveat. Dr. Buka is a retired anesthesiologist. So just for you to know, Dr. Baruch.
Yeah.
So Dr.
Yes.
Dija, that's our
Yes, good
pharmacist.
evening, Dr. Deja, pharmacist in the building. Not
Yes.
against any of what Dr. Barrow has shared with us. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And part of what I do as a pharmacist is actually what my major problem is. I need you. Okay. I'm not saying medicine is bad. We know when medicine has its own place. We know when food should be our medication. Okay. So I've been under pain management for quite a few years, and I am one out of many that I just stay constipated, regardless of jute leaf or Borno. It's actually called, I think it's bush mango, something like that, or African mango seeds. I drink jute
That's
leaf.
great.
I've tried even raw without cooking it. Banana helps people go. Rather, banana
No,
constipates me.
banana constipates.
Like in my family, every other person eats banana, they go.
Okay,
I
banana
am
constipates.
constipated. And that's
Banana
what I tell
constipates.
them. Like they're expecting me, like, oh, banana. No, banana constipates on my own side. So, tamarind, I grew up in the north. I grew up eating tamarind. And honestly, I wouldn't say it's part of what's helped me. So, what I'm trying to say is medicine. It's a big, big culprit. When we're sick from the gut, of course, it affects every other system. So thank
Yes.
you for sharing this. And I look forward to being able to connect with you through Dr. O. And
Great.
Dr.
Great.
O, we appreciate you as always. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
Great. Great.
much. Yeah.
Well,
Thank
well,
you.
I would say, um, get a book. The book is called Super Gut,
Hmm.
and the reading that Super Gut will expose you to another layer of information with regard to our GI tract and our stomach. It's yeah, I would suggest that you do that. You'll gain a lot. You'll make your own probiotics. He talks about what we need to do in order to maintain regular bowel movements. He's a very good. He cares about the people. Unlike somebody who's just trying to sell you a product, he actually gives you the formula for the probiotic. Who does that nowadays? And
Hmm.
it's a good guy. So the Super Gut book is a very good book. I would suggest that you consider. But there's obviously something probably that you're eating that is not that your body doesn't do well with,
I
and
think
you
it's
might
the
be eating a lot.
medications.
Oh
I'm
yeah,
like on
definitely.
opioids, tramadol,
Yeah. Oh
that
yeah. Yeah.
combination,
Definitely.
it sucks. Yeah.
Definitely. And
Yeah.
pain, depending on the cause of the pain, and the severity of the pain, the berberine is mild. Probably it might not be. It's nowhere near the opioids, but there are things that we can do. And of course, inflammation is what happens before we have the pain. So if we can reduce the inflammation, if it means that we need to lose weight, or if it means that we need to cut back on the gluten and all the artificials and all the sugar and all the fried foods, we see a lot of good results.
Thank
But
you.
thank you very much. And I look
Thank
forward to
you.
connecting with you and everyone.
All
I
right.
feel like, I feel like family.
This is
Thank
family.
you.
It's
This is
fam
Yes.
medical
Medical
Monday
Mondays with
family.
Dr. O family. Yes. Did you hear
Thank
Dr.
you.
Dija? So your family, it takes 5 minutes.
Yes.
You become family.
Yes. Yes.
So, Dr. Dija, yeah,
Yes, ma'am.
opiates are horrible in causing constipation.
Yeah,
And bananas plug. When I go on medical missions and I'm in in the village where there's nothing, and we run out of stuff every now and then, and people present with diarrhea, um, we actually prescribe banana to
just
plug
stuff
it.
them up with
And we
bananas.
prescribe papaya to cause
Mhm.
movement. That's another one. Pawpaw, papaya,
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
cause you to move, will cause the bowel to move. So there are different things one can use. But I want to remind everyone on this platform that we don't establish physician patient interaction or relationship
Oh,
on this platform. We
okay.
we dialogue, we share knowledge, and but we don't establish relationship. Of course, you can connect with Dr. Barak outside of the platform. I'll be glad to connect you, and I'll have him to put up his information later on, or now you can put your information there so that people can reach you. But on the platform, we don't establish care, we
Mm-hmm.
dialogue. It's just a reminder. It doesn't take
Yes.
anything away from our conversation, and we don't change conversation. So,
Yes.
Nkechi, Commissioner Nkechi, kindly unmute our commissioner.
Okay, well, good evening, everyone.
Good evening. We're not seeing
Yeah,
your face today.
yeah, I'm driving. I'm driving.
Oh, no, no, no. Okay. Go ahead.
So, when you talk of constipation, I wanted to share this concoction with everyone. And it works no matter how constipated you are. If you try this, it does work. So what you do is you boil some water, like a cup full of water, and then mix vinegar, a teaspoon of salt, or teaspoon of half teaspoon of sugar, and then you put some lime. Let that water be so hot, like you try and gulp it when it's hot. I mean, within an hour, you're gonna go to the bathroom. You're
What
gonna
kind of vinegar? Apple cider or white vinegar or
apple cider.
okay.
And if you want to do it the other way around too, is you can mix apple cider, water, apple, cut some apple, cut some lime, and put it inside the bottle and leave it for like 3 days. And then you drink it, put it inside the fridge, and you drink it every morning, first thing in the morning. And also the concoction can also be your last thing at night.
Mm.
It's not how you're just gonna go. You will go. So that's my take on diarrhea, constipation, I mean to say.
Thank
Interesting
you.
concussion.
I'm sorry, Sister Nkechi. When you call it concoction, you make it sound like a potion, like something scary. Why
Oh
not
no,
just remedy?
remedy. Okay, I'll say remedy because you have to mix. You have sugar, you have salt, you have vinegar, you have lime in hot water. And that's why I said concussion, because you're mixing a lot of things. There's no how within an hour.
Remedy. It's really
Remedy.
weird.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's no how within. I'll tell you, don't do it when you're going out. You have to do it that you're at home. You're staying home. You're gonna go.
Otherwise, you'll be borrowing or looking for bathrooms to borrow. Well, Dr. Zugo, welcome. Kindly unmute. Yeah.
Yeah, with me, just a second, please.
Okay.
Yeah, Dr. Baruch, thank you so much for your presentation. We do strongly believe that natural food is good medicine. So emphasizing natural food is really very important. So because processed food is not what we're gonna should be eating, but for the heart and everything. I want to
Yeah.
make a comment on the magnesium part. Magnesium is reasonable, but please, you can check the level of magnesium. I still have renal issue because hypermagnesemia can easily happen in so many of these patients, and it really creates a big issue for us from cardiovascular perspective. So, but it's always good to check the level. You can monitor the level when you're using it for whatever you're using it for. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you
Is
so
there
much.
is there any indication, like when you know when a person is iron deficient, you can check under the wells of the eye, or you can check the eyes and the hands. Is there a way to check without sending them to LabCorp to find out what their magnesium levels are? Is there anything that lets us know?
By the time you wait for it to let you know, it's really very bad. So if you
Okay.
watch Dr. O's head, how he's shaking, or you just check the level, check the blood test.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You better just do it that way because hypermagnesemia, when it gets to that high level, you can actually have a lot of issue with it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of issues. You don't want it to get to that level.
Right.
See, I have not had time to even give my comments. So I'm going to go to, thank you so much, Dr. Zugu. Dr. Zugu is a cardiologist on the platform. So Dr. Veronica had asked if there are foods that are rich in magnesium that you can share. And she says, yeah, please share foods that are rich in magnesium.
I don't have that list in front of me, but now with AI, I could pull that up very quickly. But so could we all.
Yeah.
So we can
Yes.
look that up.
Correct. So, Sister Rosemary, she's a counselor, said, What if your magnesium is high and you have constipation? What do you do? Right on
Wow.
point, because that was what Dr. Izugu was alluding to. So
Yeah. Yeah, and then of course, obviously, we're not taking more magnesium. We're gonna need to be careful and make sure probably that we're getting more fiber in our diet. We're eating a diet that our body can move, where the uh, the villi inside of the small intestine can actually grab the fiber and move it, and not all of this food that's so heavily processed that it can't grab it and move it. We want to make sure that we're eating foods that don't contribute to inflammation, and that was the list that I gave you a minute ago. So we want to make sure that we're doing the best that we can to eat a diet that is wholesome, and we want to recognize, when did it start? Was this all your life, or did this start after a round of antibiotics, or what is it, so that we can then pinpoint where we might need to target rebuilding and restoring the body, so that we can get you back into balance. But the first thing for me would definitely be fiber. There are other ways. You heard of the remedy that was just given. There's also there's hot water and a couple of things that I remember that we would take. But there's hot water was definitely a big part of it. And there's your what is that juice? I can't think of the name of the juice
It's
that we
prune
all take.
juice.
Prune juice.
Prune. Uh-huh.
Prune juice.
Yeah.
Yes. Prune juice. And some people it's pear juice, but prune juice will get you going. Mhm.
okay. Thank you.
Thank
Dr.
you.
Alu said, could you please share some plant foods that are healthy for the intestine?
Again, the more fibrous foods, depending on your condition. So sometimes we have conditions in our GI tract. SIBO and SIFO are two of them, that small intestinal bowel overgrowth and fungal overgrowth, that they want you that you'd eat more of a diet that you wouldn't expect to be suggested that you eat. More rice, more carbohydrates, more things that are not in that healthier category of the fibrous foods. But yeah, you want to eat a more heavily fibrous diet, so that the body can move through. And if you want to just take fiber in the form of a supplement, you can do uh, psyllium husk is a good source of fiber, and that can be used to get us moving. It's like a big broom, but it also can be used to reduce your appetite. So we suggest people who want to reduce their appetite and do it in a more natural way. You take the psyllium husk and you maybe drink a 8-ounce glass of it before you eat your meal. Your stomach is going to have a good amount of fiber in it already. It's already going to be sending off signals that we're almost full now. And then you want to eat really, really high nutrient dense foods. And those nutrient dense foods, they, nature and natural foods have what it takes for you to process it in your body, like an apple. An apple has the enzymes in it already to help it be processed inside of the body. And I'm sure other foods are that same way. So just eating closer to nature. The less man has manipulated or dealt with or touched, processed what it is that you're eating, the better for you. And you find that your body comes back into balance when you do that.
So, thank you. Another question here. Are you saying that we should not drink wine at all?
Well, I didn't say that, but I would say wine doesn't necessarily is not like up there on the list of, this is a very nutrient dense substance. And although there are those that say what is it, resveratrol in wine or something in red wine that benefits the heart, there's probably some other ways to get that benefit. And I would say, with regard to eating your food and drinking, that you don't want to consume something that's going to dilute the hydrochloric acid in the stomach. And also, you don't want to drink anything that's going to cool the stomach. The stomach needs to be hot and dense with acid and hydrochloric acid. And I lean on you, because it was my grandmother who told me, don't touch that glass until you finish your food. And I couldn't touch the glass until 30 minutes after I finished eating. And obviously, she wasn't a medical doctor, but obviously this is just tradition. And it was because it aided in proper digestion.
And that is 100% true. I was brought up like that too. You cannot drink water while you're eating. You drink like 30 minutes after. And years later, now grown and everything, I found out that is the right way to do it. That's the
Yeah.
right way to eat. You don't drink when you eat. So, ero konwa, meaning the thoughts of our heart, kindly unmute.
Hello, good evening, everyone. Am I coming in loud and clear?
Commissioner, you are the one who came with the thoughts of our hearts. This is our commissioner appointed by Governor Moore of Maryland, Commissioner Tope Adeyoju. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Dr. O, for another fantastic episode. Definitely blessed to have you here, Dr. Baruch, and sharing your wealth of knowledge on what we should all be doing right in terms of, staying healthy and general well-being. I'm going to make two comments and then ask a question. There's so much that we have in common as a people that I think when we start to lean into some of those practices that we've left behind, maybe by way of just being miseducated, and I can say that's definitely what it is, that we've turned our back on some of the things that we've held on to traditionally, but because of the glossy and glitzy allure of what we've been prescribed by Western, medicine, we've abandoned those practices. And I'm so happy that at this critical point in time, we're looking back to see, kind of like Sankofa, we're looking back to some of those things in our culture, in who we are traditionally, and it's going to be serving many more people now that we have things like YouTube and podcasts where they're being spotlighted. So I'm very grateful that you're on a call with us today. And what you just said about the water, I remember vividly, I met a gentleman in the Caribbean when I lived in New York in my late teens. And he kind of like told me about that. And believe it or not, I started practicing it. And to hear that being echoed on the call today, just again assures me that there's so many things we have in common. He's a gentleman from Caribbean. And for me to hear it from other circles, including the Native American, like, wow, this is the ties that bind, so to speak. So I'm really enthused at what we can do going forward in terms of just sharing more knowledge, coming together as family, and just discovering ways where we can become more healthy without the costly outcomes of using medicine or prescription drugs all the time. Now, I have a selfish interest in learning from you, Dr. Baruch, your thoughts about the consumption of palm oil in our diet. In Africa, a lot of our diet, just like the lady had mentioned previously, that we've been trained to think less about our diet and embrace more of the Western diet. And the palm oil, which is more accessible to most people because it's in abundance and it's really truly natural in how it's prepared, it has this reputation of having very high cholesterol, and albeit some of the refining processes has improved recently, where there's the bleaching process that removes some of the smoke and things that's trapped in there. I'm still curious to get your professional take on this particular type of oil. And then also, I also want to thank the lady that advised us on how we could consume the gari, which is derived from cassava plant. And also, I discovered they're doing amazing things in South America, in Brazil, with the same derivative from the cassava plant. And it's just really interesting to know that things that originate from our culture has gone to other parts of the world, and they're using it extensively to the extent where I think many more of our people need to start to look back and see how we can reconnect with our roots through our diet. And lastly, even though it's not a comment nor question, I would like to encourage everyone to kind of just, stay tuned to what Dr. O is doing, because in the very near future, we're going to be looking to spread more awareness about a conference that we began through the Governor's Commission on African Affairs. The Health Committee spearheaded the introduction of Nourish to Flourish in the last year as part of Africa Heritage Month activities. And it will be really fantastic to have you on board this year, Dr. Baruch. One way or the other, I think we'll be blessed to have you on board. And on that note,
Yes.
I will yield for you to respond to my inquiry about the oil. Thank you.
Well, I know that. So let me start by not answering that question. I'll say that I know corn oil, vegetable oil, canola oil, soy oil, and many of these available and prevalent, especially in the restaurant space, because they tend to be less expensive, are not good for us. The seed oils are something we need to avoid. I lean more in the direction of the avocado, the palm kernel, and the cold pressed extra virgin olive oil. And I won't have the knowledge that I should have in order to appropriately answer your question with regard to the benefits or detriments of the palm kernel oil. I would yeah, so I don't know that I would want to go down that road because I wouldn't I don't have that knowledge. I do apologize, but I'll get it. I need to know because I do talk about palm kernel oil, and I know there's a difference. There's palm oil and there's palm kernel oil, right? Those are two
Yes,
different
sir.
things. So, yeah, I know when I was there in I think it was in Guinea. I was there and we were drinking palm wine. I don't know whether you know that. Yeah, I'm sure you do,
Oh,
but
yeah,
yeah,
it's
Of
popular.
course.
Very popular.
That is
Libation.
yeah,
that is good stuff.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And I've never heard a negative, but you have to be careful because everything that came out of the root and the culture of the continent was always made negative to us here. So I have to go back and read another book other than the books that we were originally given, so that I can get the real true history and that knowledge. And you all, the book is probably here on the call.
Dr. Baruch,
Yes.
palm wine is the drink of the gods.
There we go. There
It's
we go.
natural, no brewing, nothing. Just tap and drink.
There we
And,
go.
and it's so good when it's freshly tapped
Yes.
and you get it just like that. It's mm.
So, Doc, I'm Tomiwa, originally from Nigeria, and
Yes,
I
sir.
own a farm over there where we do tap palm wine. I'll tell you, it's a very effective natural probiotic.
Oh,
It's
okay.
mild,
Great.
it's mild on the stomach, and it gets results.
Thank
Okay.
you. Thank you.
Great.
Yes.
Great.
So I don't know about palm kernel oil. I know about palm oil, and I know that palm oil is heavy in saturated fat. It has benefits,
Yes.
but
Yes.
balance. When I get to comment, because you have lots of questions, so I'm holding back. I think,
Okay.
when I talk about balance in all that I see here, I pray I remember to talk about that. So,
Yeah.
Dr. Lola Aderonke, that's another pharmacist, kindly unmute. You have your hand raised.
Yes, thank you very much, book doctors, for this presentation. Do you know anything
Yeah.
about ginger, raw ginger, when it comes to constipation?
No, I don't know about it for constipation. I know about it for digestion and circulation, and it having some antiviral and bacterial and fungal and parasitical properties, but not constipation. I'm sure circulation will help support the body moving. But no, I don't have any knowledge of ginger in that space.
That's what I use for prophylaxis for constipation. If I don't want to get constipated in the morning, I take ginger with my tea, and I
Yeah.
have easy movement.
Well, there's a reason why after dinner we drink ginger tea and we'll drink peppermint tea because they're both digestive aids. So I'm sure it helps to support that process and get us going where we need to go.
Thank you. And also for palm wine, when I drink palm wine, I get toxic. I see if I drink alcohol.
Oh.
So I can't drink so much of it. I
Oh,
lose my
okay.
senses.
There's alcohol in it.
Palm wine has alcohol in it. It's an alcoholic drink.
So I can only tolerate just a little of it because
Yeah, it's alcoholic.
Right, right.
So you can drink too much. Don't drink and drive.
Right on point there. Don't drink and drive. Commissioner Adeyanju, you can unmute again, please.
Yes, I just wanted to, on the topic of the palm kernel oil, I remembered I had an idle conversation with my father years ago about, and this is, I kind of want to encourage
Your
folks
camera is not
to,
on. We want to see
but
you.
you can hear me, right?
Yeah, we can hear you. We can hear you.
Okay, let's see.
It's all right.
So I wanted to encourage us to be very intentional about getting more young people into forums like this because there's so much more they can learn, in terms of intergenerational dialogue and how enriching the information they can glean. I remember I had a conversation with my father many years ago because I was just curious out of nowhere. I said, what were we using before the colonizers came to for hair lotion and for body lotion? And of course, we all know shea butter is very prevalent across the sub-Saharan region. So I knew that, but I was very curious. What did our women use for their hair? And he proceeded to explain to me that there was the same palm frond where we get the palm oil from. The kernel, there's a dark kernel that's cracked, and they process it and they extract that oil and process it in such a way where the women use it for beautification. And I said, wow. And then it was after that I now discovered this whole extraction, from the Western side. But it was just very fascinating because a lot of times one doesn't have a historical context or perspective on how did we do things before, the Europeans came. But if we have conversations with the older ones and make sure we're engaging the younger ones, that we can transfer that village knowledge, as someone used to tell me, pass it along. And I think, there's so much more that we can do in terms of just transferring that knowledge when we let our young ones know that, hey, you know what, you need to come over here and listen to Medical Mondays. So I just wanted to share that a little bit.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I invite you, Commissioner, to come to the restaurant. We do a lot of talking. We have a lot of we're going to have Dr. Milton Mills here, but we've had Dr. Sabi and Dr. Africa and Dr. Jewel Pookerman, Dr. Queen Afua. We've had a lot of really good, solid people coming through our space to educate us. And one thing I have not done, I used to have, there was a brother out of Ghana and I can't remember his name. I want to say it was Asali, and but there was a brother we used to have come through and speak. But it would be great not only for us to speak to the youngsters, but for you to speak to us because we're youngsters to you as it relates to culture. Our culture, modern medicine in America is much younger than the medicine that you all were taught there on the continent and tried and tested. We're very young in this, so I would want to learn. I would love to learn what it is that you all do when you have the health challenges that we run to the medicine cabinet for nowadays.
We'll share towards the end. Dr. Mills coming on Sunday. We'll share the flyer. We'll put it in the chat box in a few and share that in a minute. But Dr. Zugu, kindly unmute.
Okay, give me just a second again. Running to finish with this. Give me a second, please. Sorry. Okay, I'll be commenting when I try to get my video back on.
Okay.
Now, okay. I wanted to make a comment on the palm oil situation
And palm kernel.
and palm kernel. The palm tree is an economic tree. It's actually a tree that is so unique that it's actually a determinant of wealth in a way. And I will explain to you this tree in a way. This tree, the roots are very, they're shallow, okay? And that root really just holds the tree down. But then it has a stem. The stem, the stem can be used for building of, building material, holding the buildings. it is termite resistant. Okay. Now, you move forward even to where the prawns are. You can make those palm wine out of that. Okay. The palm wine, actually, some women use it for breast milk to, let their breast milk grow, when they have babies. And of course, it has that, nutritional value if you really drinking it early in the morning when it's just fresh. But as the hours goes by, it ages and then it becomes really alcohol. Okay. Now, you go to the palm, fruits itself. There is oil you can make out of it. There's also, the material company can use to make for, firewood. And then there's the kernel, the covering of the shell that you can actually use those coverings not only for design, but also for bottle making. And then the oil, the kernel itself, you can make, pomades, creams with it, oil with it. Okay. Now, you even look at the leaves. You can make out of the stem of it, you can make brooms, which you use in sweeping. You can also use those leaves to even make roofs of houses and really, protect those houses. So palm tree has so much benefits. I mean, that we look at somebody come and tell you that the oil that it has LDL, and then you took 90 something percent of its value and throw that away, and then condemn that palm tree, which was providing a lot of economic freedom to many, many, many families in Nigeria especially. There were so many plantations of that, and then those were abandoned that now the Asian countries are the one making oil palm trees and then selling it to us.
Right.
It's a tragedy.
Yeah, it's a crime.
Thank
It's a
you
crime.
so much.
And also, I know palm, one of the oils can be used. I think you may have mentioned it as a fuel. You actually can burn it in a diesel engine.
Palm tree, palm, we have to really get back to palm and really help it. Its economic value so much,
Yes.
so
Yeah.
much.
Mm.
Every part of that tree has value. There is nothing in that tree that's not valuable.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
That's the truth. And it is when it's fermented, when it ages, like Dr. Izugu says, that then it's alcoholic, but I still love it when it gets that. Dr. Guleye, kindly unmute.
Yeah, I think Dr. Izugu already said what I wanted to say. But I
About
also want to add that the reason why they told us that it is bad is the same reason they told us everything of ours is bad, so we can be dependent on them. They wanted us to stop consuming it because it is a cash crop. If you look at most ingredients, the ingredients on most foods in the United States and even skincare, you see palmitate,
Mhm.
oleo palmitate, something like that. That is byproduct of the palm tree. They
Mm.
were importing it like crazy back then. When they were producing their own soap, I don't know, I believe almost here is old enough to know soda. Do you remember soda or share soda that our grannies used to use to wash their
Yes,
clothes?
yes.
Yeah. That was
That's
their own
crazy.
yeah, that was their own soap in England back then. It was very harsh. It will damage your hand, the skin on
Mhm.
your hand. In fact, it will damage your clothes. You have holes in your clothes. But when they came in, and then they noticed that our grandparents, great grandparents, were using the black soap for almost everything they were doing. They used the black soap, and they noticed that the black soap was milder, so they got this technology from them. Specifically, two brothers were responsible for stealing this technology back to England. It was through a scientist that came here for they call them explorers for exploration. When he saw that how good that black soap was, he went to these friends of his, two brothers that were working with their dad. They owned one of those corner stores back then, and told him, "I got something good for you. You're gonna make a lot of money if you just agree to finance this."
Mm.
And they brought him a sample. He brought the two brothers a sample to show to test, and they tested it and they said, wow, this was good. And guess who those two brothers were with their corner store, their father's corner store?
Lever Brothers.
Lever Brothers. And that's how they started producing key soap. It was just a long bar of soap using African mothers' technology, and didn't give credit to our great grandmothers. They started making that with the way we made our own soap with the palm products. And then they were cutting that soap back then. You wanted to buy soap, they'll cut it and give it to you. Eventually, they started making them in individual wraps. That's how we got Sunlight and Premier soap until what we have in the modern day. And then they did the detergents and whatnot. But they got this technology from our ancestral mothers.
Thank you so much for that background history. And by the way, I must say, the hair products I use today is made by Dr. Ogunleye, who is speaking. Natural products that she makes herself is what I use for my hair conditioner and my hair butter.
Yep, I've been making my own
Share with
product
us,
since
Dr. Oguleye.
Nigeria.
I had no idea.
I'll put my website in the comment section.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
That's what I use. And
Oh.
I'm not the only one. Right? My children, all of us. That's what we use. She makes it herself. Excellent product. Commissioner, on mute.
So I just wanted to also share that in my investigation to figure out, is this palm oil really bad for us? I discovered, even though I learned a lot more from Dr. Ogunleye, and thank you so much for that insight on the historical, cultural appropriation of our Oshedudu. Now, I discovered also, since Dr. Baruch touched on the topic of the locomotive use of it, that they actually had discouraged us using the palm oil because they wanted to use it to grease their locomotives in the West. Those engines, what's it like, steam engines? The trains. So they wanted us to make that a cash crop, right? And as a matter of fact, I recently learned back in 2025 that there was a war that broke out between, well, more like an attack, really, that the British explorers, or whatever they call them, had attacked Benin's kingdom over the same palm oil because they weren't able to have an upper hand on the trading terms. And as a result, they went and destroyed Benin, and that's, I think it was around that time they cutted off all the famous Benin bronzes, and it got dispersed in Europe. So this palm oil it's one of those things that I think we really need to pay very close attention to in the years ahead. So I just wanted to share that, since you mentioned that it can be used as diesel, as an alternative to diesel. Thanks,
Thank
Doc.
you. Thank you.
I would say if I could bring something up, I would like to be a part of the collaborative effort, Dr. O, and I would like to travel to the countries and speak to the people up the country so that we can get all of these secrets back into the knowledge of our people, our children, and our people here throughout the diaspora.
Before we lose it.
This is immeasurable, the value of what even just this call itself, just to get this information and to know that there's a resource and a reservoir for information of this nature is overwhelming. It's overwhelming, and we need to know about it. And it's, I feel like at some level, the people who really need to hear it, we almost need to make this Dr. O's call here inside of the restaurant. You all can see it. I walked out into the restaurant so you could see this is my restaurant, and I'd love to have the
Wow, I see the drums.
Yes.
Nice.
We'd love to make this a show that comes to the restaurant so that people can know that now, okay, I can come to learn about health and wellness, and whatever it is that you're presenting, I know it's wholesome and it's good and it's going to benefit us.
Fantastic. Nice. Thanks for showing us that. A lot of people have been texting and asking where the restaurant is and all of that. If you put that in the chat box, that would be great. So a commenter said, please let the community know that it's not only protein that sustains us. The question that meat eaters ask all the time.
Yes.
That there are lots of protein from plant-based sources.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, one of the big things that I've run into since I became a plant-based consumer, and that was back in 1978, 77, 76, in that time frame, is that where are you going to get your protein from? And I used to joke around with people. I said, well, give me your wallet. Let's see whether I'm 60 now. I said, let me see whether me at 60, whether you can catch me. You're 35, and I see all your health conditions because you wear them all. And I said, we're given the myth. We've been given this myth that we need the level of protein of probably a bodybuilder. All of us needs this high level of protein that we don't need. I've never heard of, and maybe you all would know better than me. I've never heard of somebody dying of a protein deficiency. And we do have sufficient levels of protein, and you can go down the list from broccoli to many of our greens, of course, our nuts and legumes, beans, and you get a whole protein when you mix beans with rice. There are a lot of ways to get protein, and I've been getting them for the last 48 years. I've been getting protein 49 years now from vegetable, and I don't find myself neurologically or physically coming up short. I'm the father of 5 children. I've got a 36-year-old and a 7-year-old. So it's where I think the myth is just like the dairy myth. It was produced by the dairy industry. The protein, needing such high levels of protein was in large part created by those who benefited from the sales of whatever it is, whether it's the protein shake or the meat that we're getting from. And again, how can you go this long without eating meat? I'm always asked. And I say, well, I've since age 11, I have never seen it as food. And, I eat nothing but plants, and I'm 230 pounds and I'm 6'2", and I don't look like I'm incapable. I'm pretty capable. I do a lot with this body, this 60-year-old body. And I think it's time that we re-educate ourselves, not only from, what it is we've been colonized to believe or disbelieve, but we also need to re-educate ourselves amongst ourselves, about, again, some of the sources of this information is not wholesome. It's not good. They didn't have the good agenda. And we need to get it from the right people, and we need to get it from ourselves. When I was there in Tanzania, I was going from house to house to house to house. These people were very, they were not wealthy. I'll say it that way. And they were eating nothing but vegetables. And if you know anything about certain countries, you know that eating meat was that's for the royalty. That's for the folks that got money and can have a refrigerator. They didn't have refrigerators. So we were eating foods that didn't need to be refrigerated. And those people were very capable, very strong, and they helped me and I helped them. And I think we've been fed this myth, and we need to discard it. It has no place. We don't, on another level, although I'm not as concerned about animal suffering as I am about human suffering, an animal shouldn't have to suffer. An animal shouldn't have to die for me to eat. And I think it's the same for all of us. It shouldn't have to die for us to eat, especially when there's so much good stuff out there. Come by the restaurant and we'll show you what we can do with some vegetables to make it look like, taste like, meat, if you got to have it.
Well, thank you. Attorney Richard Williams said this is very informative presentation, and thank you.
Thank you.
Sister Inkem says broccoli is very good as well, that
Yeah.
she eats it every morning. She's shared that with me before, and that it moves her bowel. And when they were talking about the draw soups, Auntie Fumi Oshifade said ogbono. The one I said I didn't know the English name for, are made from seeds of mangoes. And when they cooked, it's draw soup. So papaya seeds have been, yes, Dr. Buka found that you use papaya seeds for laxative. And everyone in the platform, Dr. Baruch's number is in the chat box, 240-417-4301, so that you can connect with them.
And the flyer will have my address, the address of the restaurant. And also on the papaya seeds, they're very good for parasites, for getting rid of parasites, which again affects us more so in America than you would believe, because we believe that all of our food is clean and free of parasites. And we believe we live without parasites. And it's only when you go to foreign countries that you're exposed to parasites. That's disinformation. And there are a lot of us that suffer from parasitical infestation that shows up as what modern medicine would call a disease, when in fact it's just, it's just parasites. Let's get rid of the parasites, and you find the patient gets well.
So you're right. So there's more on palm kernel oil, that it is Adin Ekuro.
Ekuro.
Adin Ekuro, that's a
Ekuro.
Yoruba word. So I messed that up before. Thank you so much, Dr. Dija, for bailing me out of that. It says it's also good for the hair and skin. Dr. Oguneye says that it's rich in vitamin E and A, and palm oil is good for heart, increases good cholesterol while reducing LDL. Also good for brain health, skin, and hair. That cholesterol increasing HDL, the good cholesterol, while reducing LDL. I don't know. I have to check that out, because I know that it's rich in saturated fat, which is not a good fat. Dr. Gule also says that palm kernel oil, well, that's palm oil. Okay, palm kernel oil contains vitamin K and A, and it provides intense skin and hair moisture. The ancient Benin Empire used it for street lighting. Oh, wow. Wow. So Auntie Fumi said soda is Oshe Okoto. See, I don't know what that is. And Attorney William.
Oshe Okoto. Oshe Okoto.
Eshe Okoto.
Oshe Okoto.
Okoto. Eshe Okoto.
Oshe Okoto.
Okay. Thank you
I
so
think it's
much, ma'am.
sodium kini kan ni mi mọ mi sure of the
Okoto is usually whitish, black
Yes, Oshe Okoto. Bẹ́ẹ̀ni.
whitish one, yeah.
Bẹ́ẹ̀ni, Oshe Okoto ni.
Okay. So Attorney Richard Williams says Ogunshaw is palm fuel. So
Yes.
there is palm fuel, like Dr. Baruch said. I'm telling you, I must, admit that I'm hearing that for the first time tonight. I didn't know that.
Well,
But I'm
can I say something?
Please,
I established a company by the name of Plantrolium. And when I was working with Plantrolium, we had found not only palm kernel oil, but a plant in Africa that grows. It's called Jatropha. And the Jatropha plant produces oil, an oil that is very similar, has a very similar burn point or burn level to kerosene. And so we were literally extracting the oil from the Jatropha, filtering it, putting inside of a diesel straight. It wasn't heated up, because normally you'd have to heat it up in order to get the right viscosity to run through the engine. But in this instance, the Jatropha, it wasn't necessary. Palm kernel oil, we did have to heat up, or palm oil, we had to heat up. But there's a lot. I really feel compelled. Like there's so much more that we could discuss, and that I want to discuss. I'm very excited about not only the health.
We'll have another discussion. We're not
Yeah.
to this.
You all need to come to the restaurant. We need to have like
we will. We'll talk about that in a minute. We will.
Can Dr. Yehudah, Dr. Yehudah please drop the restaurant?
Please don't, let's talk of line. Nkechi, you have your Andres, kindly unmute.
Okay, I just wanted to share with you all the soap they're talking about. I remember that soap. They used to use it to kill, you know how people have lakpa lakpa?
ringworm.
Yeah.
That soap used to kill lapa lapa. You just rub it on it and just leave it on, and the lapa lapa would stylishly
So
vanish. It's very
basically,
strong.
ringworm.
Ringworm. So it's very, very, very strong soap.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for that contribution. Commissioner, you were saying something.
Oh, that Dr. Yehuda should help us drop the restaurant details, the website, so that we can take note of that as well.
That's right. Thank you. Please drop that in the chat box. So Dr. Gulaya says that she actually believes too much protein is part of our problem. The richer we got, the more meats we eat, and the more our bellies protrude. High concentration of urea in our system can't be good. It is not good. You're right. Back in the day, our ancestors only ate meat on market days and maybe the day after. Other days is seafood and vegetables. That is true. And here says only because he runs an organic farm in southwest Nigeria. If you are truly interested in unprocessed palm tree products, kernel oil, wine, combustion fuel, in and from Nigeria, please feel free to reach out to him at info@hydrostrata.com. It's in the chat box. Thank you for that info. And Dr. Akintonde says carrot is another good fruit that you take daily to prevent constipation. Dr. Gulea says a grandmother will give us maku as a deworming medication. Maku. So, Dr. Baruch, you wanted to say something about carrot, I think, right? Dr. Baruch, you froze. Come on. Okay. His restaurant is listed in the chat box. It's actually in my zip code. And it's right on Central Avenue. Oh, that's interesting.
That's not
No,
fair.
I didn't have anything to say about carrots. I'm sorry.
Okay. So you froze for a bit there. So,
Yeah.
I said your restaurant is right in my neck of the woods. It's in my neighborhood.
Yes.
Okay. So I wanted to say that this has been a robust conversation and very healthy. Thank you for all contributors. I want to say, though, that balance is key. We need protein. It's a building block. We need carbohydrates. Carbohydrates give energy. We need some fat. Fat gives
Mhm.
energy. So we need balance in everything,
Yes.
you know? And I'm glad Dr. Izugu talked about magnesium. I'm not going to talk about that anymore, but vitamin D. We need vitamin D. And unfortunately, a lot of us, 90% of especially Black people, no matter where your Black is from, are deficient in vitamin D. When you have vitamin D deficiency, you can develop high blood pressure, multiple sclerosis, which is a disease that causes paralysis, osteoporosis, which is a disease that causes the bone to be brittle, that people can have fracture without trauma, without falling or anything like that. They may have fracture. It can cause low back pain. It can cause constipation that we talked a lot about. It's been linked to colon cancer, depression, and dementia. Deficiency of vitamin D. We get vitamin D, that's true, from the sun. But guess what? We are blessed with a black skin, beautiful black skin that don't wrinkle. The skin that, is God-given. However, we have this beautiful black skin because we have melanin in our system. That's what confers the black skin. Now, that melanin also protects us from the sun. It's inborn, it protects us from the sun. And that's why we don't have as many skin cancers as our Caucasian counterparts because we have that melanin protection. So we encourage our Caucasian counterparts to wear sunscreen also to protect themselves from the rays of the sun so that they can prevent skin cancers. That being said, supplementing then becomes important. Taking vitamin D supplement and eating foods rich in vitamin D, like, mackerel, tuna, salmon. I recommend the fresh cut and not the farm raised. But how many truckloads would you eat to, actually get enough vitamin D? That's why supplementation is important. And checking your levels, if you're supplementing with vitamin D, is important because toxicity can occur. Vitamin D is one of the vitamins that is fat soluble, not water soluble. So it stores in the fat cells, and it's important to know your levels so you don't get toxicity of that. That being said, we allopaths, we are not bad. Dr. Baruch, the the story you shared about your doctor friend who you asked what he would recommend that you do when you were not feeling well, and he said he would tell you to take days or weeks or so to go rest. And you said, okay, if he was to put on his doctor hat, what would he do? He said he would give you antibiotics. I would say that most of my colleagues and I do not practice that way because antibiotics is specific to treat bacterial infection, not viral.
Yeah.
So diagnosis is very important. When somebody presents with fever, with any kinds of symptoms, the first thing is to take proper history and come up with the right diagnosis. Problem today is sometimes, when one does not give the time to get full history, proper history, then diagnosis can be missed. But 80% of, the treatment of a patient is listening to that history
Mm-hmm.
to get the diagnosis. Once you diagnose, then you can intervene. If somebody has a viral syndrome or is a virus, we don't treat with antibiotics.
Yeah.
We actually discourage, believe it or not, Dr. Baruch, we discourage the use of antibiotics when it's not needed because we worry about other things, resistances and stuff like that. I don't want to go into all of that. So we don't use antibiotics carelessly like that, or we shouldn't. And I know that most of my colleagues don't. So
Yes.
just to, give a disclaimer there. And then when you talked about grandma's backyard, where you get plants and all, I wonder what happened to us today. Why aren't we planting our food? Because now you get fruits and my apple, before I eat it, I scrub it, wash it, because I don't know what has been sprayed on it. I don't know what chemical is on it. Why don't we plant ours? There are lots of junk now in food, like you said. We need to be reading the ingredients of whatever we're going to consume before we eat it. We need to stay away from things like high fructose corn syrup and stuff like that. And metformin, you mentioned metformin also, it's not a bad drug. If somebody has diabetes, it could be genetic, maybe they inherited it. It could be because of lifestyle. They become, they put on weight, and as a result, develop insulin resistance and become diabetic. They need to get treated. If you don't get treated, you're diabetic, then complications would occur.
Yes.
I think it's very important to get checked. I'm going to round up with this. I was talking about balance. In the United States, we have tests. I've lived in at least 5 countries that I've lived in,
We're going to the
and I've
next one.
traveled the world. And I'll tell you that the United States is unique. It's a blessing. Dr. Zugu, just said, if you're taking magnesium or you want to take magnesium, go and check your levels. In most countries, it's not that easy. In the United
Mm,
States, it's easy. I just told you if you're taking vitamin D, please check your levels to make sure you don't have toxicity. It's easy to do that. In the
mhm.
United States, we have access to so much. I think we should be praising God that we are in this country, and uh, we should be asking God to help us make the country better. Um, African countries are beautiful when it comes to culture, um, camaraderie, people coming together to elevate, to edify. It's fantastic. We have a lot of work to do there, though, when it comes to healthcare, proper healthcare. But African countries are wonderful. So, with that, I'm going to ask Dr. Guleye to please unmute. And Dr. Baruch, please, you can comment.
I, I think I would ask that the audience consider a gentleman out of Brazil. He wrote a book called The Cure for All Diseases. And anybody that comes to him and sets up an appointment, he puts them on, I believe it's 50,000 IUs of vitamin D. And but it's mandatory that you include vitamin K2, because if you don't have the vitamin K2, you're going to end up, with an issue with that volume of vitamin D. But he does that because he can't support the client base. He's just doesn't have enough hours in the day. And he finds that most people, by the time they come to see him, they're cured because of the vitamin D. And he wrote the book, A Cure for All Diseases. And I think that's a good resource for us too, as we seek to, because I feel, unlike I've been in other forums where I think medical doctors take a different approach. It's, they got into the profession because they wanted to make a lot of money. And I feel a different sense, especially when you're dealing with people who deal with, their own people, that they really want us to get this right. And so, I share that information as that might be something of benefit. And I did hear you, and I'm very thankful that you would, put me in proper order and balance, and because that's where I'd want to be. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And I appreciate you a lot too. Dr. Ogunleye,
Yeah, I just
you have
wanted
the
to
floor.
ask about this American diet that they said we should go on. It's at the top of it is protein. Like if you look at the typical plate, the diagrams they show kids in school, it's one big slab of steak and a small, maybe half a cup of rice. And when I say half a cup, I don't mean uncooked rice, cooked rice,
Mhm.
uh, or even less than half a cup. And then vegetables and other stuff. What do you think about a diet like that? Because growing up, they will give us small cuts of meat. Our parents may maybe take double the size they gave us, but everybody ate meat sparingly, not like we see on American plates.
Mhm.
And because of that, even till today, I cannot finish a steak in one sitting. One serving of steak, I can't finish it. I will gag.
Me neither. I hardly even ever eat meat anymore. Go ahead,
Yeah.
Dr. Baruch.
Okay. So can we look at it just in nature? If you see a field full of cows, there's probably nobody on this call that gets hungry. Nobody's like, oh, this is like a smorgasbord. I'm good. A lion, tiger, or bear would jump the fence and they would have a party. That's not us. We don't have the canine teeth that they have, and we don't have the bite capacity that they have. Some of them have the capacity to crush the skull of an animal because they have that much. We don't have that. We can bite a cucumber, we can bite an apple, because that's the amount of pressure. We have masticating teeth in the back of our mouth. We have the saliva, the acidity of our saliva is different than that of a carnivorous animal. We don't have claws so that we can hold on to our catch and eat it, and we can't eat it uncooked for the most part, because if you eat it uncooked, the bacteria is going to kill you. So there's some things that we need to look at that we've been conditioned to accept as being the way we should do things. I don't know that I'm not convinced. And again, my own life and the lives of my children, none of them are deficient. All of them are very healthy, and there are many. I run a plant-based restaurant, and I've got thousands and hundreds and millions at this point. We've been in business 30 years. Millions of people have come through our door, and they come to us for that purpose. They don't come to us because they're like, "Oh, am I going to go to McDonald's today, or I'm going to go to Everlasting?" No, they come here because they want to avoid meat, and also they want to avoid bad for you food. And I'm not saying that all meats are necessarily bad. I just think it's unnecessary. You eat a cow, but a cow eats, grains and fruits and, stuff. And you eat chickens and chickens eat grains. And, it's why not just eat what they eat and get what they get out of what they're eating? That's one way to look at it. Our GI tract is, what is it, 24, 28, 30 feet long. The GI tract of a typical carnivore is 12 feet. That meat goes in, it extracts the nutrient, it gets it out of there because it's full of bacteria and everything else. It needs to get it out. And so I don't do it. It's not my religion. I don't practice the religion of you need to eat. You need to eat nothing but vegetables. I just practice the way of life that I have found it to be most beneficial to the people that I've encountered, that eating this way, it produces better health outcomes. So for that reason and that reason only, I suggest that we give strong consideration to, if you've got an inflammatory condition, if you've got a weight condition, if you've got any of the syndromes, the metabolic syndrome illnesses, blood pressure, blood sugar, cholesterol, when you change your diet, it dissipates, it goes away, it reduces, it goes down. Your body's stronger and healthier. And if I asked the question, if I said, okay, what do you think is healthier? Eating a piece of, I'll make it worse, fried chicken, or eating a salad? I don't think there's anybody on the call that would say, well, fried chicken, obviously. It wouldn't happen. So we know better. And it's innate in us. We know that that's healthier and that's what's better for us. And it's what gives us better results. So that's my take on the consumption of meat for protein, for the benefit of getting protein. We don't have to do that. Plus, if you've ever been to an animal farm, these warehouses now, it's you wouldn't want to eat that after you see what those animals are living in and going through and how they suffer. It wouldn't be something that you wouldn't raise your hand. Give me the mango and the papaya and the cassava. I'll let the chicken live. That's my take on it.
Thank you. So, your restaurant, is it in Hampton Park?
Yes, it's right here where they're doing all the new construction, right here next to the Home Depot.
Guess what? We were there. I have somebody else on this platform tonight. Three of us, we went there to eat.
Well, there are two restaurants here. There's Carolina Kitchen. That's not
No,
us. Oh,
that's
okay.
we didn't go to Carolina Chicken. We went to
Okay.
the plant-based, and we actually we left the you stand to pick what
Yeah.
you want. And
Yeah.
then
You sat in here.
we came here to sit to eat. Yes.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Great, great,
We've been
great.
there. We
Yeah.
just realized she was texting me to let me know that was where we had lunch. That was where we
Oh,
had lunch.
okay.
I'm like, okay. So, and it was our first time there, the three of us.
Oh, okay.
Well,
Great.
I have questions for you for later, but I want to share something. There's a new research that came out this year. Recent research, including a 2026 study of 1.8 million people, indicates that while vegetarians and vegans generally have lower overall cancer risk, they may face a higher risk of specific cancers, notably colorectal cancer in vegans and esophageal squamous cell carcinoma in vegetarians. These risks are often linked to lower intakes of nutrients commonly found in animal foods.
Yeah.
I think it's a food for thought. That's why I keep talking about balance.
Yes. So I
So,
would respond to that by saying if Monsanto and Arthur Daniels Midland and Syngenta and Bayer and Dow and DuPont had not destroyed our soil like they're destroying your soil on the continent of Africa, then we wouldn't have those issues. But once you've destroyed the soil and all you're putting in it is nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium, NPK, if that's all that's going in it, then yeah, it looks like broccoli, but it's not what my grandmother ate. So I would agree with you that those statistics are probably real. But I would also note who did the study, who was the one who paid for the study, because you got
That's
to
the
look at the
point.
source.
True. I
If the
don't know.
meat industry paid for the study, then
I don't know. I actually saw it first in Doximity. Doximity, it's a medical forum
yeah,
medium. And I saw it in there and it actually broke it down more. I read this one because it's simpler language.
yeah,
And I'm not sure who did this study. I'll look for that. You're
yeah.
right.
Hey,
And who paid for it to be done? Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
hey, Dr. O, remember we
Yes.
had this conversation some years back
Yes.
about research?
Yes, we did.
I said, follow the money.
Yeah, we did. We
Yeah.
did.
'Cause-
So you're right.
yeah.
We need to look at that. So TA says the example of whether we salivate upon seeing a field of cows is very powerful. He said it can't help contrasting this with seeing a field of strawberries or mangoes. This is major food for thought. Thank you for sharing this, Dr.
Yeah.
Baruch.
Thank you.
So, with that, Dr. Baruch, this has been an amazing, conversation. And I really thank you um, for contributing so handsomely to colorectal cancer care. No, colorectal care
Yeah.
is what you prefer to call it, and not colorectal cancer. So colorectal care. That's the purpose of Medical Mondays with Dr. O, is a preventive, platform. I want to also, encourage everyone in Maryland, or if you want to fly in from anywhere, this Sunday, Dr. Ajay, if you please post that flyer. Dr. Miller is coming as a guest of Dr. Baruch
Yes.
to the restaurant. The restaurant information is in the flyer and it's in the chat box. And it's going to be talking about take charge of your heart health. Dr. Milton Mills is an internist. He's an allopathic doctor like me. So I don't know if we're going to go there and beat up Dr. Baruch. But I'm kidding. I've heard Dr. Milton Mills. He's a powerful physician, powerful speaker, and has a lot to offer, to give. Please come. I'll be there on Sunday by the grace of God, and it's going to be from 2 to 4. Let's come out and hang out. Tickets are $20. I'm reading in here, but $25 on day off. So see you there. Thank
Great.
you,
Great.
Dr. Ajay. So if you can be put on the chat box, that would be great. So it's at the restaurant, 2 to 4 on Sunday. So Dr. Baruch, if you please leave us with parting words. What
Mhm.
would you like us to take home with us? Thank you. The flyer is in the chat box, by the way. Thank you, Dr. Ajay.
The parting words would be, I don't want to sound cliche, but all that we have and all that we need is amongst us. And I challenge us, as we heard, varying voices speak to the fact that these are all ways that we used to have. This is a part of our culture that we've kind of stepped away from for various reasons. All that we need, we have amongst ourselves. And we, unlike many other cultures of people, there's nobody that's coming to save us. And I don't mean that in the spiritual way as much as I mean that in, you know, there are no communities that are championing us as a people. And if anybody's going to save us, and if anybody's going to do what's right by us, and if anybody's going to help us live longer, have a better quality of life, be more vibrant, healthy, and so on, it's going to be us. And so I ask that we reach into ourselves and we build amongst ourselves, because the institution that we built, even in this phone call, in this conference, is already it's already overwhelming. It's magnificent. And I'm very thankful that I would be invited to share and to be a part of what it is that Dr. O has built. And I'm very thankful, and I look forward to doing whatever it is that you all might call on me to do. And likewise, that we would be able to work with one another, because that's where our strength and that's where our power is. Thank you. I'm honored. I'm at your feet.
Thank you
You are
so
the
very
you
much.
are the kings and queens. You are the kings and queens. And I'm yet, I'm Joseph. I was sent away, and now I'm coming back, and I seek your acceptance.
You
I'm
brother.
sorry, Dr. O.
We're
I,
taking
I
you
just
home.
I just have to come in.
Come
Dr.
in,
Baruch,
come in. Go ahead.
Dr. Baruch,
Yes.
we are family. If we
Amen.
are queens, so are you a king.
Yeah.
Please. Okay? We're
Yes.
from the same root.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're all kings and queens. Any melanated person
Amen to
that
that.
came from Africa is a king and a queen.
Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you.
That is the honest truth. Thank you so much, Dr. Guleye. Thank you for always being on point. Um, Dr. Alu says, thanks for allowing us to drink from your fountain of wisdom. Much appreciated. Dr. Victory says, thanks so much. We have everything we need within ourselves. And is quoting you. Dr. Ofwegwini, Dr. Veronica says, this is amazing. Thank you. Yes, you are king, she says. That's Dr. Veronica from California. She said, you are king. You are. We're brothers and sisters. And we need to get it straight. We need to get it right.
Yeah.
Enough of faction between African Americans, Africans. We are one.
Yes.
We need to embrace each other and build each other up.
Yes. Yes.
Brother Clem Bamikole says, thank you for giving us the food for thought. Thank you.
Yes.
You're very much appreciated. And you
Thank
can
you.
see that. You can see the comments coming. And
Yeah.
we'll see you on Sunday. Oh, Dr.
Good.
Veronica wants to speak. Go
Thank you,
ahead, sis.
Dr. O. Thank you, Dr. Baruch. Dr. Baruch, it's the premise of institutional racism globally to divide and conquer. So we were divided so they could conquer. But guess what? We're now having this kind of conversation. So the cat's out of the bag. You are king, we are queens. And that's why we're raised with that in Africa. And we're bringing that sharing that we're all kings and queens. It was intentionally set up to divide us. We refuse and reject it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.